The role of the modern marketing operator is changing faster than people realize. And if you understand, what's happening, you're about to become significantly more valuable and honestly a lot more in demand. I'm Austin Bitsis, if you're new here, and welcome back for those who are not. I work with some fast-growing D2C brands as a growth operator, and what I'm seeing right now is a fundamental shift in who's getting hired, who's getting promoted and paid significantly more, and who's getting let go by companies. It's not the pure strategist anymore. It's not the execution-only specialist that's, tied in their one specific lane. It's the hybrid operators, the elite senior individual contributors, or as we'll refer to them as the ICs, who can move fluidly between high-level strategy and hands-on execution in their zone of expertise, and who know how to use AI to multiply their output. This matters whether you're an operator trying to get a role or get paid more, or a founder building your marketing team. And honestly, this is the clearest signal of where the industry is going over the next few years. The operators getting hired right now are the ones who can quarterback strategy while still being able to roll up their sleeves and actually execute the key parts of the workflow. And if you're hiring, let's be clear, you're not looking for someone who does everything. You're looking for someone who has strong strategic ability, who complements your tactical gaps. So in this video, I'm going to walk through why this shift is happening, what hybrid operators actually do differently, and how to position yourself as one so you can get more opportunities and ultimately get paid more by growing your business faster than your competition, because you're now producing more value. Now, this is literally the mindset I'm using myself as an IC to create more value for brands that I work with before I hit my value ceiling. When I'm hiring and building my team, these are the exact attributes I look for to create a high leverage culture. The first point that I want to make is the market tightened enough that companies started scrutinizing who actually is creating value. And just in the last couple months, what I've seen is multiple brands quietly let go of people, aka, they fired them. It's the hard truth. If you're a marketing operator on payroll and you're not carrying your weight, brands are holding employees more accountable than ever. But on the other hand, here's the flip side that people don't talk about enough. The operators who are the really good ones, the people that are carrying their weight and more, the ones who think strategically and can execute and roll up their sleeves, are getting promoted and getting new opportunities faster than. So when budgets got more constrained, the leaders who only strategized, who delegated everything and never touched execution, got exposed fast. Companies realized they were paying premium salaries for people who weren't actually doing anything in terms of execution. But the ones who stayed valuable, the leaders who could still roll up their sleeves and execute when needed, are the ones that stuck around. And I'm saying this as a general of what I'm seeing and trending. Of course, I'm exaggerating this a little bit, but I have seen people let go in the last month or so. Brands are growing, brands are hiring, but it's becoming more and more prevalent from my point of view. The second point that I want to make is AI is changing the math on when you need to hire. And this is to the first point a little bit as well. There used to be a clear point in where elite ICs would hit diminishing returns. You can only do so much yourself before you need a team. But AI is extending that curve. So a marketing operator who knows how to use AI can now produce way more output before hitting that ceiling. Automating workflows, generating briefs, analyzing data faster, all the things that used to require multiple hires. And now if you're a founder or run an agency, you know this already. You can't afford to carry overhead that isn't producing. It's not emotional, it's just business. So the result is simple. Companies want lean teams of elite ICs who use AI as leverage. And when they do hire, they want people who can cover more of the workflow than traditional specialists. Operators who can move between strategy and execution and complement the gaps on the team. Now, let me show you what this actually looks like inside a fast-growing D2C startup, because the difference between bloated teams and lean, high-leverage teams is night and day. A lot of mid-market brands still run product launches the old way. So you think maybe 6 different teams, let's say, touching the same workflow. You got the product team that's handing off to the growth team hands off to the copy team, the copy to retention to e-commerce to design, growth to analytics. This is just a random example off the top of my head, but there are so many teams, so many handoffs, tons of meetings, tons of drag. It works, but it's slow and expensive. And of course, certain team members are carrying more weight than other and producing more value than other. But the startups that I see scaling really fast, I'm talking about hitting 40, 60, even 70 million run rate within a year, are often shockingly small. I'm seeing brands do those numbers with just a handful of elite ICs, each leading their lane. That might look like one person leading growth, one leading creative, one leading lifecycle, one leading product, one leading CRO and website. And instead of needing layers of kind of middle roles, these operators strategize and execute. They use AI to handle everything that doesn't require human taste or real judgment. A lot of times they're just even contractors, right? And they're kind of working fractional, and they're still providing just as much value as 2 or 3 or 4 employees. Now there's stuff AI still can't do, or maybe they don't have the infrastructure to set it in place at this time. And they just push that work down to VAs or overseas operators. The actual busy work, instead of hiring another 120, 150K plus US employee just to keep the tasks moving. So instead of 6 teams doing handoffs, one hybrid operator takes the product summary, builds a marketing plan, uses AI to ideate messaging, write copy, generate briefs, and then hands a complete package to creative or e-com, one handoff, maybe a few days, a week tops. It's faster, cheaper, and way more consistent. But here's the part most people miss. It's not about doing everything yourself. It's about knowing which parts of the workflow AI should do and own, and which parts of the workflow an operator must own, and which parts should get delegated down to your team so you can stay lean without losing the output. The hybrid operators winning right now are the ones who eliminate the bloat between teams, use AI for leverage, and stretch the range just enough to collapse all the unnecessary layers in a workflow. Here's where this gets hard for a lot of people. Operating this way means finding this balance between high-level strategy and hands-on keyboard execution. 1 minute you're at 30,000 feet thinking through your go-to-market plan, positioning, channel strategy, budgeting for the next year, where the next layer of incremental lift is going to come from. Then the very next minute, you're deep in the actual work. You're optimizing campaigns, pulling a cohort analysis on subscription churn, looking at which ads are driving profitable CAC or ROAS, or digging into why a funnel dropped off this week. These are kind of actual things and kind of the range that you might see in a day-to-day. And then you're kind of right back at altitude making the next strategic call. Most people lean too far in one direction. If you stay, too high, you lose touch with the nuances and the details that actually impact performance. You end up making strategy decisions without understanding what's really happening inside the account, and your calls may get worse over time. But on the other hand, if you stay too deep in the execution, too deep in the weeds, you miss the bigger picture. You're getting tasks done, but you don't understand why you're doing them, and you constantly need someone to provide direction, which, is expensive for any team or company. It's expensive both maybe on the hire, but also on the opportunity costs in terms of the time being spent to handhold that employee. All right, so on the other hand, the operators who are winning right now are the ones who can do both. They can see that big picture and then understand the nuances well enough to execute or guide execution at a high level. And just to be clear, I don't want this video to turn into, AI. Like that's all we hear about right now. But the reality is AI is impacting every industry right now, including marketing operators, which this YouTube channel is about. It doesn't replace these skills. It expands your ceiling. It lets great operators move faster, automate the busy work, and get more leverage before they need to hire. But the underlying skill still matters. You have to understand the strategy. You have to understand the execution, or none of the tools actually help you. The balance is the difference between being a task doer and being an ideas person and being a true operator. Let me tell you a story. Early in my career, I worked with a VP of growth, and I think I was VP in growth and digital product, who was the perfect example of a true elite IC, elite operator. He can move between strategy and execution seamlessly. He'd jump in and fix pixel issues and tracking issues. He would set up a new ads platform. He would audit a funnel. He was just like in the weeds day to day. And then he would turn around and answer any question the CEO or investors looking to buy the company threw at him, because he understands the entire system end to end. This kind of range is rare. And because he was busy and we were remote, I didn't get the face time I wanted. But it taught me something important. As a senior operator, one of the most valuable things you can do is teach, not just the tasks, but the thinking. How you reason through decisions, how you balance high-level strategy with the tactical details that actually matter. Because the truth is, if you only understand strategy, you can't direct execution. And if you only understand execution, or like really in the weeds in your lane is what I'm referring to, you constantly need someone to tell you what to do next, which is expensive for any company. Here's the caveat though. You still need to know your lane. When I started this YouTube channel, I wanted to understand the creative process. So I taught myself editing, design tools, thumbnails, and it helped. I did learn. It gave me context. It taught me what's possible, what takes time, and what looks good and what good looks like. But here's what I realized. Context and competence are not the same as expertise. Understanding a skill enough to direct it is very different than becoming the person who should be doing it. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. If you've never done pieces of the work, even lightly, you can't guide the people you hire. You don't know what good looks like. You don't know the right questions to ask. And you can get taken advantage of, especially in marketing. I've seen plenty of non-marketing founders get stuck this way. Not because they're not smart, but because they don't have enough context to push back or evaluate work that's being done. Say they hire an agency or a freelancer or a contractor, and it can easily get taken advantage of. Over the years, I've built my own lane around performance marketing. That's where I create the most leverage, the most value. I can move between strategy and execution across any growth channel, setting up campaigns, managing 7-figure per month budgets, analyzing data, reading attribution signals, understanding how creative connects to CAC, to ROAS. And over time, I expanded my range to CRO, creative strategy, retention, and even digital product and detailed reporting and analytics. All the pieces that actually drive the business value. But I'm not a front-end developer. I'm not a designer. I don't need to be. I was spending hours editing these videos, now back to YouTube. A work a specialist could be doing 10 times better and faster. When that time was better spent on high leverage work I'm actually elite at. And the last piece I'm actively working on is the spoken communication. And I'm bringing this up because being able to communicate strategy with the right tactical detail to the right audience, honestly, that's one of the 3 reasons I started this YouTube channel, to become a better communicator, because being able to zoom in and then zoom out is only one thing, but being able to explain that, what you see is a skill of its own. So the lesson isn't do everything. The lesson is expand your range in areas that multiply your impact and stay anchored in the lane where you create the most leverage, the most value. That's how you become the operator everyone wants to hire, promote, or build around. If you're pure strategy, start moving downstream, get closer to execution, touch the work, build the reps, and use AI to handle some of the things you used to delegate. If you're pure execution, pure, in the weeds and you're like very Pacific lane, start moving upstream. Sit in on strategy calls, ask questions, understand the why behind what you're building, and look at the business through a wider lens. Start building your AI fluency now. Not just using AI, but really understanding how to structure workflows, how to prompt, how to drive quality output. That's what extends your leverage before you ever need to hire. If you're hiring or building a team, stop looking for narrow specialists. Look for elite ICs. There might not be a specific role title for that. It's the people, the people who can move between strategy and execution in their domain. People who complement your gaps. If you're, let's say, strong and creative, hire someone who's strong on performance marketing side. If you're strong on performance marketing, hire someone who's not just a designer, but also a true creative strategist. If you're hiring a developer, find someone who can second as a CRO specialist in landing page and funnel builder. Build a team of operators and ultimately go-getters. Like, these are the types of kind of people that you're trying to look for when you're hiring your team, who can expand their range, not people who are stuck in one lane. The marketing operators and the brands they work on who are going to win over the next few years aren't the ones with the biggest teams or the prettiest presentations. They're the ones who create the most leverage, the most value through AI, through expanding their range, and through building tight feedback loops between strategy and execution. And here's the part I want to leave you with. Anyone can become that operator. You don't need a fancy title. You don't need permission. You don't need a decade of experience. You need curiosity, the willingness to learn, and the drive to zoom in and out until you understand how the whole machine works. If you found this valuable, share it with your team, your hires, or anyone in your network who's trying to grow as a marketing operator. Make sure to hit the like and the subscribe button. Join my newsletter, which is in the description below. I share deeper frameworks, breakdowns, and playbooks that help operators and founders level up. Drop a comment letting me know what you agree or maybe disagree with, or topics you want me to cover next. I'm Austin Bitsis. Thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next video. Peace. Come here, right here, guys. Sit over here. Sophie, come here. Sophie. Guys, come here. Good job. Good sit. There you go, Zoe. All right. Got the crew here. Hopefully they weren't too loud. Little Zoe here likes to bark, and this is Olaf. That's Sophie. There you go, Sophie. There you go, Zoe. And here you go, Olaf. Olaf is mine, but he likes enjoying some time with this crew.